If you're listening to this in replay or on podcast, you may not know this, but this is actually a live show that we do every Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern that gets syndicated through your favorite podcast channel. And if you're listening to it in replay, you should also know it is a podcast. It's called Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. And today we are going to be talking about probably one of the most exciting technological trends that we've seen definitely in my lifetime, and that is all about AI and the impact AI can have on startups. We are at an historic moment in time where startups are beginning to see the value and the power of what AI can do for them. And I'm talking about existing startups that use this technology and also startups that are founders that want to start a new business based on this technology. You know, there comes a moment in time when we have a big paradigm shift or a technological shift. You know, it happened in the 90s with dial-up internet. We were able to connect on the internet, and there were many new businesses formed. There was millions of startups and many millionaires minted from the 90s. And then we went into the 2000s, where we saw the advent of the cloud computing. And we saw broadband and social take off. We saw app development in the 2010s really take off. And there were, again, hundreds of thousands and millions of startups who built around these new technologies and were very successful. I think the 2020s will be known for AI. And this is, I know we've had a lot of other technology like blockchain and NFTs and other things like that, but the power of what ChatGPT and what DALL-E can do is absolutely unbelievable. Now, if you think this is going to be an interesting topic, please invite other people to the room. On the bottom of the screen, and I'm doing it right now, you can actually click that second icon from the left, and that is shares the room on Clubhouse. And also, if you want to invite members to the room as well. I am actually traveling across Alligator Alley right now. Hopefully my internet will remain strong throughout the show. We also have Michelle Van Tilburg here, and our writer, Mimi Ostrander. She's the one who writes the blogs on startup.club. She's here as well. And we're looking for you in the audience to come up on stage today to talk about your experiences with ChatGPT and or DALL-E and what ideas you might be able to launch using those technologies. Michelle, I'm excited about the show today. I'm going to hand it over to you to kick things off, and we'll have some fun this Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this show. Like I feel like everywhere I turn now, there's a thought or a use case that comes up, Colin and Mimi, about things that we could use Chat GPT for or DALL-E for. So, the implications are quite broad. And I really want to hear, what other people in the audience are thinking, or, this is no judgment zone. This is just get up here and let's just like have fun brainstorming and thinking about cool ways that we could use this technology, cool ways that we could make money on this technology. So, I think, Colin, why don't we start with you? What do you think? What are some of your ideas?
Okay, remember I'm driving here at Alligator Alley. I can't get the AI to drive my car yet. Apparently Elon Musk hasn't really delivered on that promise quite just yet. But I know that we're getting there. I think that, first of all, we look at the startups we have in our incubator, Michelle. We have a couple platform companies. And I think about what can we use ChatGPT or DALL-E for to really help us accelerate our growth. One of the things that I was able to do on the last show that we did here was write a sales script. I went to ChatGPT and I had it write a sales script for joining Startup Club, and it was phenomenal. I read it out loud on the show, and it had really delivered quite a good script. My nephew and I were talking about ChatGPT about 2 weeks ago, and he's a professional comedian. And I have been talking to him about a routine that he should consider running. And the routine is the smartphone, using your smartphone in the restroom. And so we said, why don't we just do it? Let's type it in. So we typed in, write a comedy routine for a smartphone in the restroom, and it was absolutely hilarious. It came out with all these different scenarios, and it made fun of what could happen in that environment. And then he turned to me and said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all my routines and I'm going to feed those back into ChatGPT to see if I can't improve my routines. So I thought that was very interesting. We're living in a time where creativity we can get more out of what we can produce or what we put in by using the Chat GPT. It's almost like the calculator of the 70s. People thought, oh, the calculator, we won't have to think anymore. I still think you have to think, you have to understand, and you have to put the information into the AI at a good outcome. So that's still there. But I do think that um, we can't be afraid of it. There are startups or companies that try to hide from technological shifts, and they become proverbial buggy whips of the past. And so embracing it is the first thing. Learning everything about it is very important, and understanding that. And when we do that, we're going to figure out ways that we can use this technology to support our startup. And then I would like to talk about other startup ideas as well. But there's a couple of ideas, and if you're in the audience and you have an idea you want to come on stage that you think Chat GPT or DALI can help a startup with, please join us on stage. Raise your hand.
Right. We have several people that have come up on the stage. So let's get right into it. First I'll give an idea and then we're just going to start going in order across the stage. So just raise your hand as you come up with ideas and we'll put you on the stage. So, for me, one thing I think about a lot is one of the companies that I run, meowingtons.com, we do a heck of a lot of content. Okay, we write so many blogs. We do 4 to 6 social media posts a day. We have over 1.5 million Facebook followers, about 800,000 Instagram. So I'm really excited to be able to use Chat GPT to try to kind of streamline our content creation some. For me, I'm not looking for just put it in there and it does everything for me. I'm looking to like generate some ideas, get some good output out, and we've already started experimenting with this, and then we'll edit it to our style and fill in the blanks and make it our own. But my gosh, we spend an awful lot of time and money, right? Because that takes people trying to do all this content. So I'm looking forward to kind of broadening it. It gets a little bit boring after doing that for 5 years. So we're looking forward to being able to do that so that we also can focus on some other areas of the business. I feel like it's really going to free us up some. And like you said, Colin, I think it could give us new ideas. I'm very open to that. All right. So I'm going to go to Ahmed and then Mimi. I want to come back to you because you've been experimenting as well as a writer, and maybe you can give us a little bit of what you found when you tried to do your experiment. So Ahmed, welcome to Startup Club. Welcome to Serial Entrepreneur. What is your ideas or experiences that you want to share? Thank you, Ahmed.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks. Hey, guys, Colin, Mimi, Lewis. So I actually just built something and launched yesterday. I'm still very early phase, but it's called the AI helper.com. it's I wish we were on the session where guess the what is the game we play on this club where somebody says the domain and then you guess what the business is. Anyway, yeah. So it's basically I wanna like people use. Let me simplify this. So this is what I built is for 9 to 5 people, like, or who are who do a job. I mean, it could apply to outside of the job people as well, but this is a tool or a website which will help everybody do their job. For example, the first one thing they do it does is email writer and replier. But just a little bit more. I'm not using only Chat GPT. I'm multiple layer of it. But one Chat GPT is definitely to understand the intent of the request. So yeah, basically, if you are somebody is sending you an email at work, AI can help you reply, even though if the question has some technical questions or some strategies like, hey, I'm stuck over here, what should I do? So that could be one of the thing they can do. I have multiple things for anybody who is doing any kind of job, but yeah, one is definitely replying to emails or writing an auto email. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea, especially right if you could get the right tone. I tend to labor over these things as well because I have a specific style, but I would love, to know that you could get it in your style. So, Amit, I don't know if you've read this, but there is a lot of, I don't know if it's true or if it's just rumors, but tend to think it's true. There's a lot going on there. They say Microsoft is really going to start incorporating Chat GTP as they are an investor as well into, you know, the email and the word and to Bing and so many things. So I think you're ahead of the curve, Amit, and we'll all be interested to see what you do there. So don't forget to come back and show us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I
Absolutely.
think that what's interesting about what you're doing, and I think it can be applied in so many vertical industries, is you're making it very simple for people to use the technology. You're connecting dots. Not everyone is going to go get a GPT account and a Dali account, figure out how to utilize it in a certain way. The easier you can make it for end users to use that technology. And the second is the faster you can deliver it. This is partly coming from Jeffrey Moore inside the Tornado, who we've had on this show. He did a phenomenal job speaking about the adoption of social audio, including Clubhouse. And he talked about this concept of being able to deliver the fastest in a tornado. This is a watershed moment for AI and for startups. There's an opportunity here for startups to move very quickly to win over concepts and market share, et cetera. And you can do that, but the fact is you have to deliver the fastest. You have to be someone that can actually get out there, get your product in front of a lot of people. And I think the fact if you make it easier for them to do it, and they don't need the knowledge to know how to interact with ChatGPT, I think that's a winning move.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. Yeah, and yeah, I've been writing almost 14 hours a day since last 4 days. So I am trying to release as fast as
So
possible. But
are you able to
yeah,
share the
go
name with
ahead.
us so we can
Oh
use it
yeah, sure,
ourselves?
sure. It's I'll paste it here as well. But the name is the aihelper.com.
Awesome. Love it.
And if I can, yeah, yeah. Thank you for letting me plug in. And guys, I'm on once this session is done, if anybody want to do the live demo kind of thing, just ping me. I can send you a Zoom link and show you the product as well. So thanks, guys.
All right, very cool. I'm impressed, and I'm going to try it out, Amit. So I'll send you a message afterwards for
Thank you so
sure.
much. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So Mimi, who runs all of our content here at Startup Club on our website, etc. She's been experimenting a little bit, and Mimi, we were like, "Oh my gosh, we're going to do an ebook off of one of these sessions," and you kind of ran into a few snags, and I'd kind of like for you to share a little bit with us and just tell us what you found works best.
Yes. Okay. It took a lot of trial and error, like kind of figuring out what to feed Chat GPT is what I've been using. So, like, figuring out what to put in there for the best results kind of took me the longest time. But the real issue I kind of came up with is like you can do so much with it, but how much should you do almost? I could just tell it to write an ebook on ChatGPT and it would do that. So, but like, is that, so I think it's going to raise a lot of questions about kind of the integrity of them and just how much it can do and how much, like, I think schools are going to have a lot of issues with that. But the learning curve was mostly with trying to use it, but after I experimented just for a few minutes and realized it can really do anything, I would just be very specific with the tone and style. You can tell it to write something in like Shakespearean English or professional journalism tones. So there's so much you can do with it. I'm excited to see what else.
And I think maybe one of the challenges is that it limited it to 5,000 characters, I think, because it did a pretty good job of summarizing when you ask it to edit it. But if you have a long document, they don't allow you to use that. Now, it could be that the technology is just not there yet, or maybe it's there, but they don't want to overload the servers and have people dump in, 100,000 words, and then but I think they have the technology to do a full edit of transcripts and create those ebooks. But
Yes.
you were running into problems because you could only do 5,000 characters or only pieces at a time, and then you got to piece all the pieces together, which can be a little bit convoluted. Is that the challenge?
Yeah, exactly. They even have something called tokens. So I think they say one token is similar to 4 characters, and you get like something 4096 per message, I think. I'm not positive about the numbers, but they've even already increased that. It was half of that before, so I'm sure they'll keep increasing it as it does more. But yeah, you're right. I wonder how much is the max you could really put in to get great results.
Yeah, I'm curious, Amit, and then let's get over to Lewis. Are you using a commercial API or are you going straight through with those limitations? Were you able to get around that?
I'm using the APIs which they provide. I think that's the only one API. Like, I mean, one is their website where you can type and ask the question. But as far as technical documentation concerned, there is only one structure of the API. But if you go in little detail, there are different kind of power you can use out of it. So, for example, if you want to have a more conversational, or not conversational, but more like, let's say, article or those kind of things, a different kind of models are available which are better for doing different things. So I need to see about that 3,000 or 5,000 thing limit, but I think that and correct me if I'm wrong, but you meant 5,000 words or tokens?
I think it's tokens right
Token,
now,
okay.
which
um yeah, so I
probably.
think it's there. Sorry, please
No,
finish.
go ahead. I was just saying it probably comes out the
uh,
same.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think it really, I don't think it's 5,000 total token, maybe per request. That could be one, which is a lot. I mean, you can write article for 300 or 400, I believe. So I don't think 5,000, we need more than that just for one request. And as far as total request concerned, I think they let you use I think $120 or something, which is quite a bit, but it's still not enough. Then you have to request for extra. But they do, Michelle, to answer your question, if your app or website is hitting, they do take the request to increase that limit.
Yeah, sorry. I know we're asking questions of Amit, but then we're going to go around the room here. But just quickly, Amit, that we set up one of the companies with the API, and we've applied to buy DaVinci credits at lower prices. We sent a message 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, no response. I was just curious if you were able to buy any DaVinci credits, which is the Chat GPT.
Right. Yeah. No, I haven't yet. I haven't needed to buy it yet. But thanks for the heads up. Maybe I should start applying sooner than waiting for the last minute. But yeah, no, I haven't yet.
Yeah, I would suggest that. Okay, it's great to have you on here, Emmett, someone who's actually worked with it. But let's get to Lewis. Lewis, what is your idea or your experience that you want to chat about?
Thank you for letting me come on stage. I aggressively got back with my team in December playing with this because we felt it could help us with scripts on movies and shows we already started working on. And it did inspire us to work on a new project that we've been using it to help assist come up with new ideas and the story of what we were working on. So the chat GPT part helped us rewrite or rethink additional things to the story. That was helpful. And we don't use Dolly. It's good, but I found Midway Journey to be just a lot better for what we were looking for. So that gives us the concept ideas of the characters in the actual project to help us identify who was what. There's five main characters. One of them is Native American, so we were able to get some looks. I would do like 100 renditions of different Native Americans. Some would be cyberpunk, some would be more realistic looking. And once you start to fine tune what they're wearing, he has a friend that's an eagle. Another one would be like the computer geek, video gamer. He We'd have to tell us he's more heavy set. He has a video game controller in his hand, a backpack, and his best friend is a chimpanzee. So once we were able to do that, it gave us a look over the way that things were working out, and it gave us so much information that we decided we're also going to do a comic book series because it gives us enough starting point that I can then turn to my sketch artist and be like, "This is what I'm looking for. These are the colors. This is basically the general direction I'm going in," and he can take it from there, or she can take it from there. So it's been helpful in that. I was actually gonna look for Colin at some point and ask him for advice. If he had any advice once a team like ourselves of filmmakers has a project like this. We're completely independent. I have every intention to take it to studios in Hollywood that I still have access to, but they're not like, hey, we're just going to take your project. We want to go very well prepared. But with Colin's experience in um, internet website development and stuff, I just thought maybe Colin would be willing to share some ideas or advise us privately. What does it take to get a half hour or hour conversation with Colin? I didn't want to
Well,
put him on the spot, but I need help.
yeah, no issue. And I'd actually encourage you. We have a third moderator who Jeffrey Sass, who had a meeting from 2 to 2:30, and he's going to join us at 2:30. But he actually is a director of a number of movies. He stopped doing that and started focusing on marketing for companies. But I feel like if we can come back to you in like 30 minutes or 20 minutes, you talk a little bit more about your concept. I will say that it's fascinating because when I first introduced this Dolly to my graphics designer, he went just crazy. He couldn't sleep for like 2 nights, and he took a popular children's song and developed what looked to be like a world class children's book using frog illustrations. It was in the book, and yeah, he put that together, and he's like, well, here you go. And now he could, if he wants, he could sell that on Amazon or whatever. And he couldn't have done it so quickly or efficiently without Dali. So I think that I definitely believe that there's a lot of opportunity here. And on the other one thing that you said about, just really get the idea so your sketch artist can, put something together is interesting as well, because I was talking with my son, who's a third year architect student, and we started playing with Dali to render houses that looked a certain way on property. And you can actually take a photo, an actual live photo, and put these houses on these properties. And I mean, it's incredible that you can get some pretty good architectural ideas from the way that it can produce these houses. And that's something that he did. And it's just an idea generator. It's not going to do the architecture for the home. It's just an idea generator, right? But let's hold off on that, and hopefully when Jeff comes back, we'll be able to spend some time later in the show. We'd like to jump to you, Vlad, um, and hear about your ChatGPT Dali story.
Hey, Vlad, you might need to hit the little mic on the bottom right-hand corner. You're on mute right now. So, Vlad, okay. Let's go over to Christian. Christian, you have a very cool picture here. It almost looks like it could have been through one of these AI generators. Tell us your thoughts or what you're trying for either Chat GPT, DALI, or both.
Well, I am currently using ChatGPT. I've used DALI once, but I'm also using other art AI, like Art Breeder and also Midjourney. In the concept of ChatGPT, I'm a software developer and I'm using it to build an app at the moment. The app is supposed to allow writers and creative developers to create a web app to build a database where they can store their stories and their characters and make organize them. And I'm also currently working on two novels. They're not your traditional novels. They are called in-prog novel. It basically means that as I'm working on the publication of those novels, I am pushing new chapters every month, completing new chapters every month. I'm using ChatGPT to flesh out my main character and other characters that are part of the book. Some of the prompts I've used will be something like ChatGPT, write me a full character profile that includes age, name, gender, personality type, also appearance, nationality, also other characteristics like quirks and eccentricities, fears and insecurities, even overall arc. And I also use ChatGPT to write the character's voice based on their personality. That includes accents, tone, timbre, and other characteristics that defines the character's voice. And then after putting all of this together, I asked this following question to ChatGPT. Hey ChatGPT, I want you to behave, to act like my character. I want you to speak like my character, based on their personality and all that stuff. Let their personality and their voice shine. And before you know it, ChatGPT will actually behave like my character, and I'm having a full blown chat with my character in real time. So I've used ChatGPT to also improve my writing and also turn my character, because my character is the main character, so he's the one speaking. I use ChatGPT to transform what I've written into his own narrative style. And also used when ChatGPT came out, I used this to see if I can get some jobs, like how it's going to um, work with career job career. So there are some job posts I look up online. I posted to ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT, remember this job post, and he will remember. And then I post in my resume and I ask ChatGPT to remember my resume, and he remembers. And at one point, I then asked ChatGPT to compare both my resume and the job post. Am I a good fit? And it either tell me whether I'm a good fit or not. Once it's a good fit, and I ask ChatGPT to behave as if it's my interviewer, to ask me all questions as if I'm interviewing for this particular job post. And then you ask me all kind of questions that an actual interviewer would ask me. So this tool is very amazing. In fact, I'm actually using it to further my business, and I'm using it as a service because I'm as a creative person, I love to write fiction, non-fiction. I'm using this tool to further develop my skills, and yeah, that's pretty much what I do with ChatGPT.
I'm impressed. It sounds like you really are tapping into it. And those are some cool use cases that you're talking about. And I didn't even know that you could actually have it remember you and pick up conversations. So I'm going to have to look into that myself. That's a really good tip. And It sounds like you are really putting it to power to help you be more productive. So thank you for sharing that, and to be more creative, it sounds like as well, Christian. Okay, I want to go back to Vlad. Vlad, are you able to talk?
I am. It was a weird bug. Can you hear me
No,
now?
no problem.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, super excited to be on stage. Awesome hosts, awesome guests. Couple things about my experience with ChatGPT, OpenAI. We've actually worked with quite a few startups over the past couple months. That's where the whole ChatGPT thing started to blow out on social media and brought a lot of attention to us regular folks. Specifically on how I would give ideas to use to someone as an individual is more of like framework of thinking, how you look at ChatGPT. And I look at this as a very smart human being. So it can literally apply to anything and everything you could possibly delegate to a person. So let's imagine you have an assistant that works 24/7. What kind of tasks you would delegate to them that have to do something with the research or with text? When it comes to actual applications for business, for example, one thing that Amit was sharing as well is it really bridges the gap between the conventional technology that people were used to and those elements that were still like human intervention into this. I'll give you a very specific example. One thing we're working on right now with one of my partners is a website that allows you to create affirmations. If you're not familiar what affirmations are, it's a self-programming. So it's a specific structure of sentences that you say about yourself that designs, that programs you to reach your goals faster. So what you do is you think of which goals you're trying to achieve, for example, during this year, during 2023. So for example, you want to get that promotion, you want to get better at your relationships, you want to get fit. And what you do is you design those sentences in the present tense so that when you speak them, it's almost like you already become the future self. And what you do is you just reaffirm those affirmations day and day, and it motivates you to and programs you to behave like you are the future self. So what we did actually is not all people are really good at crafting those affirmations because there are some specific words. The focus should be, for example, more on the goals than on the fears, more on the positive emotions. So there is a lot of science that has to do with affirmations. So what we did is we created a website that just like asks you about your goals, that asks you about how would that make you feel to reach them, and what it does is it generates a few affirmations for you to choose from. Now, the service also comes with like custom music and custom voice actors, so that's a paid service, but you can use the free version of it to actually craft the affirmation. That's one of the recent things we've just done like recently, and it's just mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing. When it comes to business applications, if you are the one who want to start a startup that's powered by OpenAI, by ChatGPT, by DALI, I would recommend to focus on very specific people, very specific problems to solve, because this is a blue ocean, and everyone has access to this amazing technology. So when it comes to creating content, for example, I could probably name maybe 10 to 20 websites that are quite popular, and they're still pretty generic in terms of, do you want to create a blog post, a LinkedIn post, an article, an email? That's very generic. That's a very low entry barrier. What I recommend is you need to go one step further and make something super specific to a specific niche. I'll give a very specific example. Maybe you want to serve real estate agents and help them craft real estate listings. Because if you ever worked with real estate, you know how hard it is to actually go and craft those. It just takes time. Sometimes it's a similar process, but it takes so much time to do them. It would be awesome to automate this. Now that's very specific. so that when you market it, you use the same underlying technology, which is ChatGPT or OpenAI API, but you're niching down so narrow, it actually is very specific and actually solves the real problem. So if you're actually planning to start your own service, you can explore how you can benefit other people with AI, I would recommend niching down, because solving a very particular problem adds convenience, and convenience is what brings people to your business. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's all about that ease of use, making it simple, right? And then connecting dots. And what your suggestion here, which I think is very wise, is if there are problems or bottlenecks in certain industries and you can figure those out, such as the real estate listing site, then you can actually be that connector. Now, someone could go to ChatGPT and say, write a real estate listing, but then you make it a lot easier probably by curating the questions and simply asking certain questions and structuring the inputs so that the outcome is maximized. You're maximizing the benefit of the outcome. Am I on the right track there?
Yes, absolutely. Convenience is what people are buying. I won't go into like what we do, but on the surface level, we ship about 4 to 5 AI powered apps per month right now because of the demand. And I hear so many requests, can you help me with this and with that? And everyone's just generic. Everyone just watched one YouTube video where it says like, hey, you can create your AI tool that will write copy for your clients. And it is very generic and everyone goes to that. We need to create convenience for very specific audience. The audience that can go to AI, to ChatGPT and do that. But first of all, they don't know how to architecture prompts, meaning requests to ChatGPT, right? The quality of outcome depends on quality of what you input. So that's a secret sauce that you can have to actually provide that convenience. Because people know of this stack. But if I'm speaking for myself, if I find a service, just like right now, I'm running a podcast, and we actually are pretty tired of writing descriptions for my episodes. Like basically, you can think of like table of contents, right? Topics that we've discussed. This is so irritating because you need to spend 1 hour. I just found a service by my friend. I just put an audio there. He transcribes it using OpenAI. He provides me with the table of contents. He charges $20 per month. I love it. I absolutely love it. I know I can recreate it myself, but it will take me like 20 hours or maybe like my team. I just use it because it's so convenient. I'm a living example of bridging that tech with very specific problem creates a convenience, and convenience is what people consider valuable.
Then you have time, to grow your business in other ways, or maybe have personal time, whatever it might be. But I love the idea of the affirmations. Is there a website that you have live or something that we could check out?
Yes, we're actually launching in a week. I'll put the link of the live website so you can check it out. The generation part already works.
Excellent. So many applications. Thank you, Vlad. Okay, let's go to Vad, Vahid. I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name correctly.
Oh,
Um,
Vahid, you're cool. Vahid is fine.
thank you. All
Thank
right.
you for the room. Amazing share so far. I think when it comes to startups, one of the things that I did that's kind of mind blowing how easy it is actually taking your competitors and going into in detail of what they do, how they build their business, what are their marketing strategies, what type of audience they're serving, what's their main core, what's their main mission, and asking it to compare all those maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 companies together, and then after doing that, you know, 10, 20, 30 prompts, then asking it to maybe modify your pitch deck, maybe come up with taglines for your website, content for the website, write your email templates, you know, modifying a lot of different things for yourself now that it knows who your competitors are or what other companies you have relatability when you're building it. You could probably do the same thing if you would do the Google search, but something that might take you maybe a few days, now it's being, transferred into a few minutes or maybe 30 minutes, right? So just like you mentioned, I think this tool is not going to eliminate jobs or anything else. If anything, is going to create a lot of more time for us to be more creative, especially small business owners, where they're able to create their blogs, their content much faster, much easier, better, lower cost, and then take that extra money that they're saving in other areas and hire more employees and do more. So it's definitely inspired us to build a lot more um, sites and put out a lot more content. So I think it's definitely game changer. Looking forward to 4.0, but this as it is, it's fantastic. So I highly recommend it. You getting good at the prompts, the better questions you ask, the better you'll be able to do, better get results. But my thing that I think has worked so far for me is stacking it up, going to ask a lot of questions, and get a lot of details before I submit my final prompt of what I want the end result to be. So I think stacking it up is really useful.
Oh, it's interesting that you say also about taglines. We were on a show the other day, and we were with a couple marketing experts, and we asked them to come up with a tagline for Startup Club, and they spent some time, considerable amount of time on it. And I went over to ChatGPT and I typed in, "Give me five quotes or five taglines for Startup.club," and it came back with some really cool ideas. In fact, I think it came back with some better ideas. One of them was "Fuel your startup journey," and I thought that was just very cool and very simple. So sometimes you don't have to say, "Give me a tagline." You can say, "Give me 10 taglines," and it will produce them. And it's really an idea generator. It doesn't have to replace every job out there. It could simply be in a way of accelerating your productivity and or helping you become more creative, or taking your creativity and expanding upon that. It really is fascinating.
I think that's what I did. One of the questions that I asked is, what is the mission of these companies? And then when he realized what the mission of those other three competitors was, and then when I said, what is their taglines? I don't know if he has access to their old data or whatever. It did go through their taglines. And then for the taglines, I think one of the challenges that I have is, because we're going to a wide, broad demographic, I also didn't want it to use big words in there. It might sound cool, but if the general population doesn't get it or doesn't understand it, then it may not be good. The other thing that I did was kind of like, taking the tagline, I took it to Microsoft Word and I blew it up and I put it a size 36, and I just kind of looked at it. Does it look good on the website? How many words is it? Is it comes, can you repeat it easily? Is it something that you remember it? And then I was telling myself, if you ever do any type of billboard, they tell you that it shouldn't be more than 7 words, because as somebody's traveling, you know, they determined that that's how many words that somebody could read as they're driving with their car. So then I saw some of the taglines. They were like, 10, 10 plus words. So I went back and I said, hey, make these taglines, but now do this. Also, give me different variations, and assume that I'm a 5-year-old kid. So you could play around with it. And then what I was thinking is taking those taglines and split testing it on the website to see which ones get better. So listen, we could talk about it all day long. So it's just that you getting more creative. But at the end of the day, Colin, I think what the most important part is, there needs to be somebody who's going to drive this. So I don't think it's going to eliminate jobs. At the end of the day, your content, your website, your startup, everything else is for you to generate those leads and get the clients, but somebody needs to service the clients. Somebody needs to provide some type of a product, right? So I don't think that part is going to get replaced. It might just make your job easier to get to them and explain in an easy language what it is that you do. But at the end of the day, you still there still needs to be there's still work to be done. I don't think this is eliminated. But I tell you what, right now I'm adding more people to my team. I take the blog post, and I shared it in another room because I want more business owners to know that this is possible. You could do this. You don't need to be so tech savvy. I take the blog post from ChatGPT. I take it to invideo.io. It will take my script. It will make a video of it. Then I take that script, I'll go to talkia.com, I'll get the audio for it. Then my video guy puts it all together. I don't know how to do that, but he puts it together. And then now I got a blog post, I got a video for YouTube. It gives me all the sizes for all my social media, and I have the audio. So when I put on my website, Google is going to love it a lot more because I got all the main components: video, audio, and I got the blog by itself. And then I'm putting my own little spin to it, hashtags, emojis, all of the other thing to, resonate with my audience. So all of that could happen in like minutes, not hours and days. And you could find so many people on so many different freelance platforms that will be able to do these things very cost effectively. I've had my team for a long time, but the cost is not that much. I think I'm working to get the cost below $10 per entire production. So I think this is going to give a lot of tools for small business owners. So ChatGPT, invideo.io, and talkia.com. I think you guys would be, and there's a bunch of tutorial on YouTube. Definitely take advantage of it.
Oh, it's great. Michelle, if you could mod me back as well so I can come back up. I somehow, a lesson learned not to clubhouse and drive at the same time. I managed to move myself to the audience, but no, I think you're onto something there. I think I like the way you're connecting at these other applications in conjunction with the AI. You're not just relying on one application. You're saying, well, what if we brought these three together? And it's connecting those dots and making those, making that kind of progress that can really make an impact. I'm not certain who's next, Michelle, so I'll let you handle the order because I've been bouncing myself
Yes,
around here too much.
no problem at all. That was amazing, Vad. I actually feel like I learned some. You kind of opened up my eyes a little bit. Like it's like you're interacting with it just like you would be talking to a person, just like interviewing them. So that was good advice. Like don't be shy.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
go
treat
for
it
it.
as your virtual assistant, but it
Right.
doesn't eliminate your human virtual assistant. I got two Filipino girls that have been working for me overseas for over 4 years. Now it's creating a lot more tasks for me to give them. As a matter of fact, I told them the next, 30, 60, 90 days, they might need to put extra hours. So I think this is opening, it's making it easier for small business owners to do it. So keep that in mind that it's endless. That's why you come to these clubhouse rooms and get these ideas and then you run with it. None of this stuff is mine. So other people shared it and I'm just kind of utilizing it.
Fantastic, and we do appreciate it. In fact, I'm going to have my team listen to this session because it really does kind of open up the mind. All right.
Yeah, Michelle,
So,
we'll charge your team. For you it's for free. For your team, we're
okay,
gonna start
very good.
charging.
Very cool. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, Nicolay, it's your turn. Tell us your experience, what you're learning, what you're thinking.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for inviting me on stage. Excuse me, I have a little bit sore throat. So, to present myself, I'm Niko Ivanov, and I'm a mind programmer. I'm using the mind as a computer programmer uses a computer, and I'm creating the first human mind manual. So, what I would like to share with you is to stop for a moment and reduce your emotions about how you feel about ChatGPT and AI, and look at things more clearly, more present. And what I mean is to see that this is a tool, and it's a tool that it's in its infancy, it's in creation and beginning. And what would you do? The best is to look at it exactly like that, as a tool, because it is not yet conscious, at least not confirmed. So it is still just a tool. But if you focus on it to learn what actually it is, how it looks like, it is a processor, it's a computer somewhere that consists and holds a program that is trained in a specific way. And the more details you understand what that is, ChatGPT, where is it stored, how does it look like, what you can do, and you have an image, so you give it a face, the better for you is going to be the understanding you have about it. So the more clear you are, hey, this is a knife, and I can do X, Y, and Z. So with a knife, you can like use it to cook dinner, right? To slice the sausage or something else. But you can use it also to cut different things. You can also use it to treat wounds if you have to cut something. So you can use a knife in very different ways. So if you understand the tool itself, you can now start apply it and actually use it for yourself the best way possible. And you will be able to see things that no one else can. Something like many people mentioned, like Vlad, Christian, and Vahid, the people I was able to hear, they mentioned very good perspectives of how you can use it as a tool to not just see it, oh, I will ask it a question. No, it's more complex than that. You can give it tasks such as, imagine that you are, let's say, Donald Trump or someone else, and you speak with that tone of voice as that person, or as Christian mentioned, as the character you just created. So this is a task, is not just a question. But when you understand also the limitation of what you can use, you don't fall into the illusion that, oh, this is something smart, more smart than you than it is. And so you won't have expectations that are illusionary, and you will be more grounded, and you won't be like going too much into the hype, and be actually practical with something that Vlad also talked about in Vahid, that you can use it directly, practically focus it, and then you will have the most results. Because there is another really good AI that you can use, which is text to image, something similar to DALL-E, which is stable diffusion. And there is a site, playgroundai.com, which is extremely good site. In my opinion, is the best so far that you can use to create images, and it's entirely free. Of course, it has paid versions, but you don't necessarily need it because you have 1,000 images per day, and every day they refresh. So you can be on the computer all day long and use it for free. And on playgroundai.com, you can use both stable diffusion and DALL-E. So you just click a menu and you choose which one to use. And you also have different options which will help you to learn how to use such tools, which is image to text, art generating AIs, which is something that you can combine with Chat GPT. And both these different instruments are based on the same thing, AI. So you learn how to communicate with the AI, and you also learn what actual end products, like specific different tools you can use, such as these different AIs, and think about some on another layer, which is the following, which is something I will do myself, but I just don't have time to do that now, is to create your own AI. Because OpenAI, the company that created ChatGPT, and I think diffusion, DALL-E, and not sure of the diffusion, stable diffusion. But anyway, the idea is they share open source code, and so you can either do it yourself or find someone to do it for you, and train your own AI. In the beginning, it might be slowly, it might be clunky, but if you use these ChatGPT, DALL-E, Playground AI, Diffusion, Stable Diffusion, also Midjourney as another image creating AI, if you use them to train not them but yourself, hey, what is this amazing thing that's in front of me? Let me give you a quick example of what I'm trying to paint, what picture I'm trying to paint. If you watched the movie Iron Man, where he has this Jarvis computer, the super intellectual AI, and he just give him tasks or ask questions, so he combines all kinds of things, and Jarvis does these things as a high-level supercomputer. So what we have in front of us is Jarvis, but the beginner Jarvis, that 0.01 or what something. And it's not ours, it's someone else's that we train for them. Because tomorrow, ChatGPT and Playground AI, DALI is already paid. But those two, ChatGPT and Playground AI, they are for free. And tomorrow they might be paid. And they might say, well, we start charging. Because right now you are training their model. So we all, the people we use these tools, we in a sense are their employee. You can look at that if you look more objectively, because what they do specifically, let's say with ChatGPT and Playground AI, that's something I have connections or slowly building connections with the developers there. What they do is actually let's say ChatGPT is already trained, so it's not going to, it doesn't have direct connection with the internet, which is very important to know. It doesn't have knowledge for things beyond 2021, and it's also tested and trained on a specific set of information, which is that database of information is what it gives you the answers based off. So it's limited in that sense. And what we do is all the prompts, all these clever ways we start using them, most of these things the creators themselves probably didn't knew or didn't have the time to think of. But since we all use it in so many different ways, teachers use it for like tests and correcting tests, so on. People use it to create code. Some people use it to create automatic bots to trade on the stock market, which is something you can actually use. But it's good to have some understanding, because the code is not always 100%, but it's, let's say, 80 to 90%. It gives really good results. So you can use it many different ways. And what they do is actually they take that information. That's why they warn you, if you read closely, they warn you not to use personal information. So this is something for people who haven't used it yet or don't know this. When you use ChatGPT, don't put like personal information, or let's say you have an invention or something like that, or a story that you have created yourself. Be aware that if you put it there, that information might stay in the server, or it might be, let's say, for somehow reach someone else and be used without your concession. So that's something you have to be aware of. So they use all of that information that we put in, it gives us to train that AI, and we do that for free. So if you think about it this way, so when you understand that this is a tool that you can create yourself, and you can use that access that we have now to learn and teach yourself that, hey, this is something new, I'm super excited, it looks like magic, how can I learn to use it best? And the easiest way to always remember that is to imagine that you're creating an image of what's in front of you. If you want to communicate with a human being in front of you, to be able to communicate with it, you need to first see, oh, there is a human being. This is a man, a woman. You need to be able to define who that is. Is it a threat or not? And all of these different questions that you can answer, and that will give you more visible and detailed image. And then you have the understanding and the capability of what's in front of you. The more clear image you have, the better for you, not just now and satisfying your childlike experiences and emotions, which is what I began with, to just stop a little bit and think about more clearly. It's like, this is the iPhone 01, and you have now the perspective, hey, how can I use that as an iPhone 15, let's say? But if you want to do that, you need to not be influenced by all the emotion and all the hype. And to connect this something with the human mind, and I will finish, is that our own mind is the same thing as ChatGPT and other AIs. And the more you learn about the AI, you will learn a lot more about your subconscious mind and your mind, and you will be able to communicate with yourself, which is very few people do, the same way, but with your own mind. and our own mind is way more powerful. So this is something you can also use and connect.
Wow, wow. There's about 30 things to unpack from that, Professor. I'm teasing, but that was very good. I think we learned a lot from what you talked about here. One of the things that you said is that we're at iPhone 1, and iPhone, you can start building it now for iPhone 15. That's a very good point, because often I've run into some issues talking to some startups about ChatGPT, and they say, well, it can't do this, or the API is not commercial yet, or and then I'm like, well, it's going to be one day. Yeah, it's going to be able to handle the volume. Yes, your API won't crash 30 times during the daytime. These issues will be resolved. So you start to build your business based on this concept that it's going to get to iPhone 15. It's going to improve. It's going to get a lot better. But if you wait until iPhone 15 comes out, then you're too late. Any thoughts on that quickly? I know we don't have a lot of time left. We're going to go a little extra today, probably an extra half hour than we normally go. This is a podcast as well called Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. So if you do miss it, you can listen to it in your favorite podcast channel. But any thoughts on that? Is just the idea of just get it out there and get going now, Nikolai.
Um, I have something that I was keeping for myself, but since I have so many different things that I already have to do myself, I can share this quickly. Maybe I will even read some of the answers ChatGPT gave me, so but you can find your own. So one thing you can use that what I shared and use ChatGPT and its own power is to ask it, hey, ChatGPT, act as if you are a human who is just starting a new business, and you have access to the knowledge that you have right now, and give me ideas that use AI and AI programs to create business. So I did that yesterday, and I didn't delve too much in it. And it gave me, like, I asked for a list of 30 different things, and it was amazing. That's why here you can connect what I mentioned to take AI, or let's say even use ChatGPT and use it through different like other programs to do these tasks, or create your own AI in the future, or at least put it as a target, as an idea to work on. Is let me give you so customer service chatbot, well, that's not already something people use. Let's say fraud detection using data and AI technologies to analyze large amounts of transformation data. A company could develop a system to defeat fraudulent activity, protect their business from financial loss. Or predictive sales forecasting, smart inventory management. By the way, this has at least I have at least 10 things that you can use this smart inventory management. A company could use AI-based algorithms to, this is actually the answer from ChatGPT, algorithms to optimize their inventory management process by predicting the demand, stock level, the recording point based on historical data. And here I will add expiration date for food, expiration date for whatever. So you can, especially if you already work in these markets or you have some understanding, you can create small, simple AI that will put in all the stock of the customer. Let's say a store or something else, and you put the inventory there, and the AI have, let's say, you start with three things. It is following and looking for expiration date. It is following for restock, so things go out of stock, and it's all, let's say, it's looking for spikes and drops in purchases of specific products. So it can keep track of which things people buy more, which they buy less. And you start with something simple and
Yeah,
then add more
okay,
options.
it's amazing. I do want to make certain we have time for everyone in the audience here, sorry, everyone on stage to share their ideas. But it's absolutely amazing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you on more of these shows. And we're looking for people to do, shows on Startup Club. If you're interested in becoming a leader and doing a regular Chat GPT show, we'd be happy to support that, or anybody else on stage or in the audience for that matter. We're always looking for great leaders in this club. We do want to move on, so I'm going to move to. I was just about to move to Michael Wogu. Michael, I know you just got a phone call there, but are you able to share with us your ChatGPT or DALI story?
Yes, thank you. I just got on Chat GPT. I actually started using it just last night. I've been using it ever since. I was a late adapter, even though I have a friend in the audience, Keith, who actually invited me to Clubhouse, who had put me on it like a month or so ago. But I was a little bit hesitant. I was like, this thing sounds too good to be true. And I was this is just another point closer to Skynet for us. I'm not sure if you guys remember Skynet, but that's just where I was. But I've been using it, and I got into a room like this last night. They gave a lot of game, and I was like, wow. And I was really blown away, for lack of better words. I am getting, I'm preparing since China's opening back up to take a group to China, maybe maybe March or April. And I was just playing around with some like some copy and some like just some conversational pieces, and I put them in there, and I kind of said please assume the persona, and I just basically described myself, and I said like let's compare salsa dancing in cells, and I was so surprised what came out. I mean it was pretty on. There was a few things that a few nuances that you know I could see where I could add and kind of help shape it, but it was on. It was naming moves and techniques, and like I was blown away. It was so good it was almost scary. But yeah, I've been
It's,
using it ever since. I've been throwing in things that, and I heard someone in the audience said you can go in there and look at your competitors and see their. I went in there just now and I put a bunch of them in there. I was like, whoa, this thing spit it right out. Now, of course, it's stuff that you can go in and grab and scramble from looking at their websites, looking at their images, but this thing is spitting it right out. So I do think it's pretty revolutionary, and I thank you people in the room who've given such great game. I'm actually had DM'd Vahid, and he gave me some was able to respond quickly and give me the links that he shared. And I think this is just an awesome room, and it reminds me of Clubhouse of old. So I'm just honored to be in here.
yeah, thank you, Michael. And I'm going to challenge you a bit here because you said you think you're a late adopter. I do believe what Nikolai said was that we're at iPhone 1, and this is really early on. I mean, the fact of the matter is they may have had versions of ChatGPT before 3.5, but once 3.5 hit, it was a game changer. It was a watershed moment, a historical moment in time, and that only happened about 2 months ago. So I don't think anyone in this room, we are late adopters. I believe we are early adopters. We're grabbing onto the technology quickly. We're identifying opportunities. You can see the excitement when people talk about this because, we haven't seen this kind of technological shift, this kind of change in technology in our society in many years. And we are all early adopters, is what I would say. And the fact that we're here today talking about it and figuring it out and learning and becoming better and better and understanding the potential of what this technology can do for our startup or to start a new business means that we're ahead of the game. So I really, really don't think you're a late adopter.
I know I jumped on. I mean, I'm kind of late, but
They're
what
not
kind of
late.
makes me think, wow, is well, I'm usually early on a lot of things, but what do we think about when when Neuralink hits, and then instead of having to type things in, we could just think or move our eyebrows and put it in, and I don't know, it, it- it's 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 exciting, and I just it's exciting. That's what it is. I wonder what teachers are going to do with the plagiarism rules now. I remember I used to live in
Yeah,
China.
we're going to
I
try
used
to stay on topic. We got into that
okay,
one for about 15
yeah,
minutes on the
yeah.
show, and
Don't
we
mind
do
me.
want to stay on topic and keep moving forward here. And we'll go popcorn style in a few minutes, but we do want to try to give everybody a chance here. Greg, thank you for being so patient, waiting here.
Thank you. You can hear me? My
We hear
first
you
time
fine. We
using.
hear you perfectly fine.
Excellent, excellent. Um, Fantastic session. This is a tsunami, folks. Um, I don't think I've been more excited, and I've only been it on a week. I got introduced to it by a YouTube session with Jordan Peterson. Talked about it for 15 minutes. I started doing some research in the last few days. Um, I'm looking at setting up a tokenized real estate company, and I've just been like, I think what's resonating with me is the questions, the detail of the questions, like everybody in the audience has talked about, and the speed that you're getting the results. And I just wanted to say that it's given me a structure very fast of how to put a company together, and how to actually execute on the plan much faster. And I guess from my perspective, also asking the right questions, regulatory wise, and then also on the code that is being able to generate. So that's what I wanted to share. I would love to be part of the group that focuses using ChatGPT for tokenized real estate investments in future sessions, and that's where the focus is going to be.
I know Michelle and I would like to talk to you a little bit more about that. We ran 2 shows last year on tokenizing real estate,
Yes.
but I hadn't even thought about how do we tie AI into that. That's something I hadn't even considered until you mentioned that right now. And this is what I love about the community here at Startup Club. You mention something, don't even make the connection, and all of a sudden we begin to ideate and figure out opportunities. But I'd love
Well,
to talk more about that with you in other shows as well, because I think you're onto something there.
yeah. Well, no, I would love to do that. I'd love to share, and I'm picking up so much stuff from what everybody just talked about. And this is very early stage, folks. I think they've only got 1 million users in the last 5-10 days that they've opened up, and it's the next tsunami. I just see it, and I'll just finish with this: that New York State has banned the use of chat on their campuses. So education is going to look at this very seriously. Maybe we don't need educators.
Or
Yeah,
we need to help our educators have more free time to create better curriculum versus the boring stuff that they got now.
No, fair enough. Yes, agreed. Thank you. Looking forward to the next sessions on this. This is powerful.
yeah. I used to talk about tsunami. I know that Jeffrey Moore talks about the tornado. He wrote a book called Inside the Tornado, and AI. It's been around, but we all know how good it was. When you're talking to Alexa, it can tell us the time, and it might be able to tell us a few things, but it didn't really amaze us. ChatGPT obviously is amazing us. It's taking it to a whole new level, and everyone's jumping on it very quickly. And that tsunami, that tornado, there's massive opportunities, and he really points to this concept, and it was brought up a little bit earlier today, is that those who make it the easiest, those who can deliver the fastest in a tornado, um, can be the winners. If you think about AOL back in the day, and this is when they became big, the largest ISP, they used to dump those diskettes in every corner of every store and every magazine, and they just went out as fast as possible to get as much market share as possible. He also talks about the bowling alley, and what he means by that is figuring out a particular niche and winning in that niche. And once you win in that niche, you can expand. In the way that Amazon won in books, they went into books, they won that niche, and then they expanded. And you can see it's happening. It's going to happen with ChatGPT. It's going to happen with DALI, and this other AI technologies. Today, I was listening to CNBC, and they're talking about Google's AI that they're talking about releasing in 8 months from now, 8 to 9 months from now. Obviously, Google's got to be a little bit nervous. I mean, look how much time we've all been spending on ChatGPT versus Google, and some people saying, well, you can check out your competitors on Google, or you could just go to ChatGPT and it summarizes it nicely for you. Scott, you've been very patient as well. Vahid, we're going to open popcorn style as soon as we give Scott a chance here. And you'll be first, Vahid.
Colin, thank you very much. Great to see you again. It's been quite a while, Michelle and Jeff, some of the old school back from the domaining days. I'm going to come back to that point in a moment, but share everything that everybody said here. Got excited about this. I've been working on several projects, and all of a sudden, this just dropped in my lap and totally disrupted the flow of what we were doing. So very quickly, working on several projects. One is an indigenous lens. I'm a Mohawk Indian. And I think that there is a huge opportunity to bring the indigenous or North American Indian or indigenous peoples globally into Web3, metaverse, blockchain, things of that nature. So we're working on a project for that. And all of a sudden this comes through and, like I said, upends everything. So everything from content to how do you deliver, accessing tools, resources. It's just been unbelievable. We're also launching a payment processing company to compete with Stripe, Square, and some of the other big boys. And as many of you know, that field is extremely competitive. And as I'm leading up a particular company or on this, and again, going to things just as mundane as who are the competitors. If I'm going to set up a marketing plan for a payment processing company, what are the things? How are the current payment processors, squeezing the little guy? How come the little guy's not getting the same rates and service as UPS or some of these other folks? So again, the chat API chat is just, again, throwing that on. I've been able to create an entire marketing plan, Twitter post, a LinkedIn post. It's just been phenomenal. And the other thing is, I'll go back to sort of the old school, Colin, is when I see something new like this, you try to get ahead of the curve from the domain perspective. And if you go to diffusion, I forget what it's called on that, but the diffusion mode, and you're asked to put in your prompts for the text that you want to convert to an image. And so you have AI prompts, and so I look to, of course, I want to register AIprompts.com, but then found out that AIinputs.com, or AI Inputs, has twice or three times as many Google lookups. I know that's not the do all and end all, but it's an indicator. So you have people right now that are struggling. Even myself, you're very tentative at start, and then you get bolder, and then you try this, and as we're sitting on this phone call, I probably burned through about 600 credits on my Fusion account. So the point being is that anytime you get into a new area, we are all instant experts. Right now, anybody on this phone call could raise their hand, hang out their shingle, and be AI, text, or experts right now, because nobody knows any better. So the point being with AI inputs is that a lot of people, I believe, are going to be looking for, help me. How do I do this? I'm afraid to put this in. Well, I think there's a huge business opportunity for somebody who wants to create a company that, if you want to learn how to do this, for a subscription basis or whatever, you can set up a business for inputting and help people along that curve. So anyway, Colin and the rest of your group, great to reconnect, and thank you so much.
Yeah, I wonder if there will be domain opportunities. I know in the last week we purchased our incubator. We purchased two pretty significant domains that had the AI in it. So I wonder if you'll see a lot more wordai.coms and other domain extensions like .a. I know there's a .ai domain extension as well.
Right.
Yeah, so let's go popcorn style. Vahid, I promise you get the first jump at the popcorn.
I was
So if
just
you wanted
thinking about
to share with us your thoughts.
I was just thinking about. I got a big portfolio on Squad Help. I'm not a big fan of Afternic, but I've sold stuff over there. But I actually past 3 months been picking up a lot of AI.com domains, and it's been cool. So I think there's a big movement happening over there. There's going to be a lot of startups coming there. But going back to what the previous gentleman said is that Imagine, based on my research, it shows that it has only like 580 gigabyte of the internet at the moment for ChatGPT. So imagine when we give it a lot more, what it will be, capable of doing. Imagine we give it a lot more context, a lot more data that it could do. Obviously, it will take more resources to go through, more server power. But just to put it in perspective, Intel spends about $10 billion per year just their R&D. So when Microsoft is coming and putting $10 billion, it's like a little drop in the bucket for them. If they can integrate, and Microsoft has been integrating with a lot of stuff with IBM, and I think it's going to be a good power play for Microsoft to bring up their, they already got GitHub, they already got Bing, so I think it's gonna, perform better for their search results and integrate it with everything else that they're already doing. Slack, all the office tools that we're using. So I think this is a very, very good movement. I'm gonna be watching that stock for Microsoft. They're making a big move. I mean, they've been in there, but if you guys don't know Sam Altman, the person, the co-founder of OpenAI, I don't think he's gonna have money issue to take this thing, to the promised land, because he was the CEO of Y Combinator. So he's got about 6 to 7 thousand Y Combinator alumni on his dial, on his Rolodex, and all his buddies are multi billionaires and millionaires. So I don't think there's going to be any problem as far as funding when it comes to this. So it's here to stay. And I think education, e-learning, is going to be the biggest part that's going to revolutionize. I don't think you need to drive about an hour and 10 minutes from my house to UCLA, waste all that gas, and go to class when you could get it online. And it already passed. My wife is an attorney. It didn't pass the bar exam, but it did pass the first portion. And I think they already did one test for it to pass the medical exam, the board, and it did pass that. So maybe you cannot think like an attorney, but it can sure as hell write the paper like an attorney and be able to have an attorney, represent it. So it's going to change a lot of different aspect of our lives. It's here to stay.
Hey, you bring up a good point about raising money. That there'll be a lot of investors throwing money not only in OpenAI, 10 billion to Microsoft at OpenAI, but even people in this room. If you have an idea and it's leading edge and it takes advantage of or uses this AI and it's defensible and it's scalable and you're able to get it to market quickly,
Yeah,
I
Colin,
think
Jasper
the
already got it.
ability, I think the ability to raise money will be a lot easier for some of these AI companies.
Yeah, Jasper just announced they have had 100,000 subscribers and users. Imagine 100,000 people, which I'm included in one of those. I think is about 59, $60 per month, and they're using GPT-3, and they're using the API access to it, and they're modifying it. There are many, many companies like Jasper that could utilize the API and put their own twist on it, or just like you guys been mentioning, making one industry easier the tasks for them to be able to perform their duties and jobs. Real estate, financial services. I know a lot of industries that could definitely use this because a lot of tasks are just repeated over and over, and it's just, we could have AI do it, or be more productive. Anyway, it's gonna revolutionize a lot of sectors, and we're part of it. So coming to these rooms and learning from everybody is cool. Sharing ideas is fantastic.
That's what Startup Club's all about. That's what Clubhouse is all about. And I think that today we're seeing that play out. And if you did come to the room late, you can actually catch us in replay, or you can listen to it's episode 90 of our podcast, Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. And this is an extra long recording. We normally do only an hour every Fridays at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. But the opportunity here around ChatGPT, around AI, around all of this is so big and is such a historic moment, and we are early adopters. And I think that the more we talk about it, the more we collaborate, the more we ideate together, the more that we can help each other. Popcorn style. Anyone just jump on stage with a thought or any other ideas, Michelle?
Yeah, hey, I just want to mention it is worth taking a really close look at the OpenAI website, beyond the chat. they actually do have and have been funding some startups. And I think it's, if you look in the footer navigation and you look under startup, you can see some very cool technologies that they themselves have already started funding. So it's, possible opportunity for some of our members here, hopefully. Thank you. All right. So do we have anyone else before we sign out? We're about at 3:25 p.m. Excuse me, Eastern time. Any last thoughts from anybody before we sign off today?
Michelle, it's Scott again. A little bit off topic, but going in the same direction. Some of the listeners here may be familiar with deso.com, DESO. And just very briefly, everybody knows DeFi, decentralized finance, done very well in helping to eliminate the middleman in financial transactions. DeSo is decentralized social. Go to deso.com. I won't belabor it here, but essentially it is a new blockchain that was built specifically to address the needs for social interaction. And there are apps on there that can replace Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and a whole bunch of other ones. Thought being is that all the major corporations, the big companies, we're the guinea pigs. They have the data, they make all the money. And we believe that there's going to be a gradual shift to decentralized social. So take your listeners may want to take a look at that.
That's a great tip. I'm going to check it out myself. So thank you for that, Scott. So I think we've come about to the end of today's session. We're really grateful for all the members who have joined and shared. Like, really, I have found this immensely helpful, and I look forward to having more conversations like this here on Startup Club. So before we leave, just a quick reminder that we are Serial Entrepreneur Club, and we are here every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, as well as on your favorite podcast. We'd love for you to sign up for our email list by going to www.startup.club, where we send out alerts about once a week. You can also peruse well over 200 blog posts and get links to transcripts and recordings. So please and thank you for joining us. And we really look forward to our next conversation. And we hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much, and everyone be well.
Yeah, and I think we'll keep up with this topic, as we progress throughout the year, and keep adding it to our shows because it is obviously very popular. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and we'll see you next Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.